If you leave, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down.
What was your "it seemed like a good idea at the time" story?
Oh my God, Joe, there's a man on the wing!
Peter, there's no man on the wing.
There is, I saw him!
Peter, stop being ridiculous.
I'm telling you, lift up the shade, there's a man on the wing!
Fine.
It's me. I'm the man on the wing.
Peter, how the hell'd you get out there? Are you crazy? Get back in here, Peter!
What the hell's going on back there? We're losing altitude! Hang on, you guys! I don't know if I can pull out of this! Giggity!
Wow, from up here, everything looks so huge and coming faster.
Shooting each other with fireworks on New Year's. One landed directly in between my eyes. Luckily, it didn't go off and I wasn't injured.
And with July 4th around the corner, I feel it's pertinent to remind everyone to please be safe with your fireworks out there.
Remember, kids, only shoot fireworks at the people you hate.
In high school, my friend discovered that he was particularly agile at running toward a wall and kicking off of it into a backflip. He would do this all day, every day, before school, at lunch, etc. One day we were inside a classroom and the teacher had stepped out for a moment. Of course he took this opportunity to try his little trick. He didn't, however, take into account the fact that the wall might not support his weight as well as the brick and concrete walls he'd tried before. His leg ended up busting straight through the wall to the other side, into a classroom full of students taking an exam. So I wasn't actually in the class taking the exam, but to this day, I still imagine how strange and hilarious it would be to be sitting in that class then suddenly see a leg burst through the wall. Makes me smile just thinking about it.
Reminds me of a time I was in high school. We had 2 different lunch periods, so some people were in class while others were in lunch. We were allowed to go outside on days when it was nice, so we took this opportunity to play some frisbee. Well, an unexpected breeze came along and took the frisbee off course and perfectly through a 3rd floor window and hit a kid taking an exam. I always chuckled thinking of everyone quietly taking a test safely inside the classroom when out of nowhere, bam. Worst part was the teacher wouldn't toss us back the frisbee.
You reminded me of a story. My math classroom in high school shared a wall with another class. On said wall was a big beep window with a gap at the top. Whenever our teacher would leave the room, we'd toss things back and forth with the other class, stick signs in the window, etc. One day, when our teacher stepped out, my friend Power launched his textbook towards the window, intending to throw it through the gap, but he didn't throw it high enough. It just slammed into the window and scared the beep out of the other class. The book took down the shelf on its way to the ground, and I swear within 5 seconds we had like 3 math teachers yelling at us after having heard all the noise. While they were chewing us out, a lone marker went flying into our classroom. It was beautiful.
Haha, that's awesome. Reminds me of high school biology. We were doing some experiment with potatoes. Class was almost over and my buddy pockets a big potato. The rest of us were wondering what he was up to and he said, "Watch this." The bell rang and we went into the hall. He gave it a few seconds for the hall to fill up and wing that beeper. The ceiling was pretty high so it went quite far and then we hear Mother Beeper, who threw that potato, get down the hall and some poor dude had bits of potato stuck in his hair. He was pissed, ready to fight whoever threw it. I couldn't stop laughing. What jerks we were back then.
I ran across the street with my eyes closed. When I was 14. I didn't get hit by a car. However, I ran into a tree headfirst and cut my face and knee open.
I'm sorry. I just laughed so freaking hard.
Me and my friend used to play a game where we threw a Swiss Army knife up in the air at nighttime and then ran away from it, with the knife part out.
We did similar with a potato gun. We had it rigged so you could slap the bottom and that would ignite it, so we shot potatoes up in the air like mortars at night and ran until we heard the thud of it hitting the ground again.
Applying for a PhD position. Shitty pay and no free time in sight for the next 3 years. Thanks to it, I despise working in science like never before.
I got a PhD many years ago and have worked in academia since. I really regret it. If you think your mental health social life is suffering during your PhD, it does not get any easier when you land a job in academia. I used to think the PhD was the hardest thing I would ever do. Boy, was I wrong. Edit, I should say if you're a good bit into it, stick at it. You'll have it for a life. As soon as you get it though, get the hell out of academia and land a role in industry.
I tell fresh college grads similar advice. If you can't balance work-life now, it doesn't get easier as you get older. So many seem to think they will just go through life stages like a video game. Quote, oh, I'm 30, I'll get a spouse now. That's not how it works.
Exactly. I supervise PhD candidates, and whilst I do sympathize with their struggles, I'm always thinking in the back of my mind that we are going to have a serious chat when they are near completion.
I do auditing and some HR stuff at my job, so I tend to take the more cynical approach. As someone in their 30s, I already see it killing some of my co-workers that are trying to work 45 HRS week while raising 2 kids, and their work performance plummets because they don't want to give up their big salary they had before kids. They want it all, but it comes at a cost. They don't want the obvious remedy, reduced work for smaller salary, so the other options are to suck it up or quit. I don't think my company is a hostile, toxic work environment by any means either, but it's just the harsh reality of a career.
My more senior colleagues put in insane hours. They work every single evening, every single weekend. Many of them have gotten sick as a direct result. These hours are expected of me, but I refuse. This causes a lot of anxiety and imposter syndrome. I put in 100 while I am at work, but always leave feeling like I am not doing enough. I don't think this is at all unique to academia. I think work culture in general is going this way. Academia is just particularly bad for it.
Starting a career in television in the late 90s. I mean, the internet is cool and all, but it's still way too slow to ever compete with 200 TV channels, right?
I relate. Me at the same time, learning printing. Our factory's biggest contracts were for making maps, newsletters for organizations, flyers, phone books, TV guide and magazines. Nobody's ever gonna stop needing those, right? Lmao.
Oof. All things that are now on a box that fits in your pocket.
Playing sled dog with my newly rescued husky and a longboard on the hilly streets near my house in college. Snapped my right forearm in half and had to walk a mile back home to get a ride to the hospital.
Oh, you poor thing. Cool cast?
So I actually didn't get a hard cast. They screwed big beep metal plates onto both the bones in my forearm to rebuild it, then I just had sort of a brace for a month. I actually broke it again a couple years later and they put more metal in. It's like a robo-arm now.
Moving in with my girlfriend. I beeped up, it's a disaster that I should have seen coming.
Please tell me more. I am considering moving in with mine soon.
I can give you another side of it. I recently broke up and moved out after having lived with my partner for 4 years. It was a great time, and as tough as it was getting out, I don't regret moving in at all. But beforehand, make sure you've spent extensive time with this person. See how they live now and how they want to live. Look inward and examine how you live and how you want to do so in the future. For example, are you messy clean? Do you spend a lot of time hanging out and spending time with your current roommate, or do you see each other and leave? Accept that it can be exceptionally great, but comes with greater potential downfalls. Just give it plenty of thought really and be confident in whatever you end up doing.
Also, be sure that you two can have conversations about beep that bugs you and that you trust each other to work problems out as a team. Set that expectation verbally ahead of time. Discuss any problems you're worried about before you move in together. Talk about how you each feel about chores, space, bedtimes, decorating, your vision for the space and how to spend days off, how bills and cooking will be handled, etc. If you can't have a lively, in-depth discussion about how often you think the bathroom floor should be mopped, you probably shouldn't move in together.
This was a big one that made me hesitant about my ex long term. I'm very much a clean person and like things to be orderly, and God, I love this woman still to this day, but Jesus beeping Christ, could she be a tornado? Stuff just constantly left out. Was like a trail following her, would have driven me up the wall if we moved in together.
Hey, you know those degenerates who you stay out drinking with until sunrise every other day? Why don't you live with them for the last 2 years of law school? That won't cause any issues at all. Cue 2 years of abuse to my body and liver, and more than a little strain between me and my friends at the time. Overall it was fun, but definitely not a good idea.
Yeah, I did this too. If you make friends with the party people in your dorm, don't move in with them after first year. Move in with the studious people in your dorm, but go party with your party friends once in a while. Your home life will be quiet and conducive to studying, and your party friends will stay friends. It's real hard to stay friends with those people when you live with them because they can be incredibly selfish and inconsiderate, because partying comes first, and your studies/sleep/job come last always.
And even after college I moved in with 3 friends that work in the service industry, and I'm the only one with a 74-desk job. These guys are great friends of mine, but holy beep, do they not understand that I have to be up by 5:30 pretty much every morning. The late night partying till 3,304 during the week is a bit much. I get it, it's their weekend, but it definitely has caused a little strain in our friendship.
When I was 15, my best friend and I just got new BB pistols. They were the Walter CP99. Looked identical to the real Walter CP9 with a removable magazine and no orange tip. We were playing with them in the back seat of his mom's car. They weren't loaded, we were just excited and wanted to take them out of the box. She knew we had them out and didn't think anything of it. This was the late 90s BTW. Before going back to his house, she went through the drive-thru at Burger King. You know where this is going. She's ordering food with 2 large 15-year-olds holding guns and pointing them at everything. Fast forward 30 minutes, we are pulling into their driveway and his dad comes running out of the house yelling hysterically. One of his friends just called and said he heard on the police scanner that they were looking for his vehicle with 2 white males holding a female hostage at gunpoint. Few minutes later, several police cars pull in the driveway, jump out with guns out, making everyone get on the ground. It took some explaining on his dad's part about us being a bunch of dumb beeps. 15-year-old me couldn't figure out what all the fuss was about, but 34-year-old me looks back and realizes that might be the dumbest thing I have ever done.